That's our mission. Our mission is to humanize firearms culture. And what better way to do that than to highlight the best of everything about the community and the industry. So when you see us at places like Goals, SHOT Show, or wherever we are, yeah, when we go there, we're on that mission to go and find those vendors, find those people, find these creators, meet creators that we've never met before, all of those things. And so yeah, it's fun, man. Like I said, I'm living my best life. It's one of the coolest jobs and coolest missions to have, if you ask me.
What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another great show with Whiskey and Windage Podcast, the 2A podcast for the people, by the people. I'm your host tonight, Matt, and I am joined by my co-hosts, Adam and Mike. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Dude, I have a lot of emotion today, and I typically do have a lot of emotions. Y'all know this. But, guys, episode 52, 1 year, Whiskey and Windage. Never missed a week.
Thanks,
guys.
Mom.
Woo. Thanks, Mom. But, guys, it's a big deal. I'm going to let Mike talk about our guest tonight because I'm super excited about our guest. But I just want to say I'm proud of both of you guys. It's been 52 weeks of grinding, hustling, and kudos to both of you.
Appreciate you, bro. Thanks.
Yeah, dude. Before I get into anything else, I do want to go ahead and say thank you to the most important person to me that keeps this thing going and allows me to do this and follow my dream, the wife. So happy anniversary for 12 years and letting me record
you guys
episode 52 podcast on the night of our anniversary. So thanks for that.
Thanks for sleepovers too.
Yeah. And orange juice.
She lets us sleep over sometimes when me and Matt behave ourselves.
Yeah. Well, few and far between. I guess y'all aren't that good. But anyway, our guest, man, this is a guy that I don't want to say we first heard about, but he was first talked about on our second or third podcast where we actually spoke to the 2A boys and their father, Keith, and we started hearing, the GunsOut TV vibe coming out. Mm-hmm. Now, I believe I was already following before that, but I may not have, so I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm sure Adam followed him because Adam follows everybody.
Facts.
But we reached out to John after that podcast and kind of said, hey, man, we'd love to have you on. And he didn't know us from a hole in the ground and was like, absolutely, I'm down. Let me know what I can do to support. Well, 50 weeks later-ish, he's in. Schedules have always been conflicting where he could make it work, we couldn't, or whatever. But we finally are going to get to sit down with him tonight and get this thing recorded. I'm actually grateful that we held off this long to get him on because we have so much more substance to talk about.
Yeah.
And, some of that stuff's going to be, GunsOut TV stuff. Some of that's going to be the shooting event he's putting on in October, the Purge. Some of that's going to be, I don't know, getting candid about some of the weird things that went down at Goals and,
Oh God, he's going to talk about my stories. We're going to talk about
we're going to talk about your story. Your hey, bud, you got 30 seconds. It's a great one. You got to hang on for you guys because it's Adam sells out for you guys, and we're still up in the air on whether it's going to work or not. So, yeah, without further ado, man, John Keys is loaded in. So, Adam, if you don't have anything else, man, I think it's Matt, you know what time it is.
Let's friggin' go, dude.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
All right, guys, today I want to welcome Mr. John Keys from GunsOut TV. John, we met you at GUA. We had some great conversations. Now you're on the show. Welcome to Whiskey and Windage.
Thanks, man. Listen, I've been hearing your guys' names over and over and over again, probably for the last, I want to say 8 months.
Damn, he's like tired of these guys.
You guys have been going ham. You have been everywhere. And I think that's a great way to start what you guys are doing. I see your guys' momentum picking up. So congratulations on that. And congratulations on being organized, man. I think that a lot of people come into just the content creation space in general, and they're not really organized. You know, I mean, to be honest and fair, most content creators, most good content creators make it look easy because they're doing something that they love to do, or they're doing something that they're a subject matter expert on. So like either one of those two things or a combination of both, and yeah, man, it's going to look like, oh yeah, I could do that, right? But that's not necessarily the case. And I mean, you guys kind of brought up some of that stuff when we were backstage just a few minutes ago. But yeah, man, I can just appreciate the effort that you guys are putting in. I can appreciate, you know, how you guys are pretty organized, and I can see that you're trying to grow something. And
Thanks,
hey, man, I can get behind that.
Thanks.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
Honestly, it's we're inspired by all of the other guys like yourself that are out there front and center trying to push what you believe and trying to put your message out there. And that's kind of our story. It's, hey, we're a mixture of firearms dealers and collectors and active military, but we all love the Second Amendment. We all love firearms. And, you know, I'll even fault ourselves. I mean, you know, good, bad, and different, you know, we still have to be careful that we don't alienate the left, because no matter how
It's their right too.
No matter how we all feel, it's their right just as much as ours. And instead of alienating, we got to figure out how we can show them that, man, this is actually first off, you're protecting yourself and your family, but even an added bonus, which is my favorite thing, because I hope I never have to protect my family, is, man, firearms are just fun. They are so fun to shoot. When you hit, I mean, it's, people relate it to a golf shot. Yeah, when you hit that perfect golf shot, that's what makes you come back. Well, man, when you run that perfect competition run, or you get that perfect AK reload, or you know, whatever it is that you do, it's like, man, that's it. I want to do that again. And you get them bit by that bug, they're going to see what we feel.
Man, you said a lot in that one little,
I'm long
in that one little monologue. You said so much, Mike.
That's a Mike thing. Yeah.
So let's try to unpack what Mike talked about real quick.
Let me lay on the couch.
First and foremost, man, you know, I'm apolitical by nature, and I've always been kind of known as the apolitical side of Guns Out, and it's mainly just because of that's Sir Michael's career. His career has been politics. And I asked him, you know, probably like, I want to say early in year one, I asked him, I said, Sherm, I said, when did you know that politics was going to be your jam? Like, when did you really, really know? And he like knew in high school. And I was like, bro, in high school, I didn't even know what politics was outside of just Republican and Democrat. Like, that's the only two things that I really knew. Right. And as I learned more and more about politics, I just grew so frustrated with it, because from the very beginning, it was like it was designed to not be easy for everyone to understand, right? It's not a straightforward thing. Oh. It appears like it could be a straightforward thing, but it's not a straightforward thing. And now they weaponize that even more on both sides, and both parties, or all parties for that matter. And so now you have all this misinformation, and you have all this, you know, the sides, the lines are so deep. And I mean, it's just a lot to deal with. So for that reason, that's why I really keep a lot of my political views to myself, because I think a lot of it is really stupid. I think it's really, really stupid in a lot of ways, but it's necessary evil. And that's why I appreciate my partner, Sir Michael, so much, because he really comes across and articulates that stuff in a digestible way. And it's 99.9% of the time grounded in fact. When you see people dance around all of the facts, they dance around all of the data, and they just say things that weaponize your emotions against you. And it's just, I don't know, man, that's not, I can't see how anybody can stand there and say that they are trying to do the best for the country and its people when these are your tactics. No matter how right or wrong you are, why do we have to resort to these types of things? Right?
No, right. You're right.
So with that being said, it's like, I feel like guns transcends politics 100%. And so when you say things like, you know, we got to be careful because it's even for the left, it's like, I'm not even thinking about the left when I'm thinking about growing the community. I'm
You're
not
right.
thinking about the left. I'm thinking about everybody as a whole. I've not one time anybody that's ever come up to me and thank me for what we do on YouTube, or thank us for an event that we threw, or whatever the case may be. I've never not one time asked anyone what their political views were.
Doesn't matter.
I was happy that we were able to open up their mindset to the idea of firearms. So with that being said, I think that a lot of people could really benefit if they took the politics completely out of growing the firearms community, because I honestly think that it is politics that's going to keep that wedge. It's going to keep that divide. You take people outside of the politics, you'd be surprised how many people will actually gravitate to it too, because of the second thing you talked about, Mike, which is the fun that is to be had with firearms. Yes, it's a life and death thing every time you put a firearm in your hand. And if you don't think that, then you're sadly mistaken, and you should probably go back to the drawing board, because without question, that is a thing. But it's not a life or death thing maliciously, at least not for the absolute majority of people in the world, for that matter, right?
Thanks.
And I just believe that once you bring people into the human side of it, let them see the people, let them see the many different aspects of the firearms community there is, from experiences to competition to gunsmithing to art. I mean, it is really, really expanding now. People are doing some very creative things within the Second Amendment community and even outside. So with all those aspects, I just think that you remove the politics from it and you really start looking at it for what it is. I think more people's guard will come down. And then if you're an upstanding organization or person within the community that knows how to be sensitive to someone that has stigmas and things like that as it pertains to firearms, I think you'd be surprised at how much ground we would cover so fast.
Oh, 100%, without a doubt. So I want to go back to, like, you talked about Shermichael, and I think it's a universe. We attract what was coming to us. And lately in the dining facility, because most people know what I do for a living, I have to take a bunch of kids to a dining facility, and there's TVs in there. Mm-hmm. And the last week, every time CNN's on,
Shermichael's on.
He's on, and I get to sit there and watch him. I'm listening to them. I love his composure. I love how he can't be baited. He's factual. And he's debatable. He'll listen. And I think we need more people like that on both sides. And I wish I'm glad CNN actually airs him. That's actually an awesome thing. But I wish we had more of that, because I think that's the thing, is we have to be able to listen to each other. We can't just block each other, fight each other, because you said this whole politic thing is just it's put us against each other, and it's designed for that, in my opinion. But it's nice to see there's people out there that are on a national front that can still have their composure and, like, kind of like, this is where we should be.
Yeah, no, agreed 100%. And again, I'm not saying that because he's my business partner and my best friend or anything like that. I'm saying that because as a person who does not like politics, I enjoy hearing him articulate about some of these issues that people try to misrepresent in their narratives. I really appreciate it. And there's other people that do it too, right? It's not just Shermichael, but I just know his consistency is pretty impeccable.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So John.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam. Or go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, let's back it up a bit. I mean, we came in pretty hot and already enjoying the conversation. But let's back it up just a little bit. You're John Keys. Tell the people what you do now, and maybe just like a quick backstory of how what the journey was to get there to GunsOut.
Wow. All right. Well, I am a proud Marine veteran. I served 12 years active duty, and it was absolutely my pleasure. 1,000%. The Marine Corps really gave me a solid foundation. And even to this day, I will tell anybody coming out of high school, listen, if you don't have a plan, the military is a plan. It's a plan. It's a baked in plan that no matter what you do, as long as you don't go in there and F up royally, you cannot fail with that plan, because it's set up to allow you to serve, and then it's set up to serve you on the back end. So at the end of the day, that's a no-fail plan. So just consider that, because for me, I didn't have a plan past 4 years. As you can see, I did 12, and I only did 12 because of other circumstances. And I grew as a human being, and I grew as a man, and I had different aspirations for myself, and I wouldn't change anything for the world. I gave it my 1,000% best effort. I was going to go to officers candidate school. I was literally looking to lateral move into 2 other much more demanding positions than what I actually held while I was in active duty. I wanted to make the absolute best of my time there, and I wanted to be the absolute best I could be. Unfortunately, I had a career-ending injury that lingered and lingered and lingered to the point of which, it was in the cards for me, and I didn't want to prolong the inevitable. So I said my goodbyes. But I came back as a civilian. I worked at the Pentagon. I worked at Headquarters Marine Corps Quantico. I held some pretty important positions there. And then I just realized there was even more for me outside of government in general. It was a mindset thing. I was growing as a young entrepreneur. I was growing as a human being. And there were just a lot of different things that I wanted for myself, including happiness. And I just wasn't finding that, doing what I was doing for the government anymore. So with that being said, I already had a couple of entrepreneur ventures in the works, and I went and I took an executive position at a media company, a broadcast media company in Washington, D.C. And I was doing that for about 3 years, from 17 to 20, and then 20, COVID hit, civil unrest, the whole George Floyd thing. There was so many things that happened so quickly. And it was just like, what planet did I wake up on this morning? Right? Like, legitimately, tell me that everybody didn't have that moment. One morning you wake up and you're like, wait a minute, what is going on here? But no, seriously. And so I didn't own a firearm the entire time I was on active duty. I didn't own a firearm for 8 years after I got out, because I got out 12 years after I got out. I got out in 2008, and 12 years later in 20, I'm just buying my first pistol and rifle. Now that bewilders a lot of people, because obviously I was in the Marine Corps, and you're like, oh my God, why wouldn't you own a firearm, right? I love firearms. That was one of the reasons why I joined the Marine Corps. I have several expert medals year over year, pistol and rifle. I love shooting. I love going to the range. However, I knew there was a distinct difference in the responsibility level of what we experienced in active duty military and what being a civilian gun owner was. And from everything that I had seen growing up, and even certain people in my circle at the time, there was no positive examples for me. And the only other side of that coin was somebody that was uber proficient and like they knew everything about guns. There was no middle ground, and there was absolutely no positive example in my circle of influence and the people that I grew up around, or even people in my family for that matter, right? At least not enough to make me feel comfortable with the idea. So I thought I never needed it. I was like, man, I'm not a confrontational guy. I mind my own business. I go about doing what I do. Why do I need to have a firearm? I'm not a part of any nefarious organizations or dealing with these types of people. So yeah, what do I need a gun for, right? And yeah, I'll go shoot, but what do I need a gun for? Yeah, 2020 changed that entire perspective. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it was more that it was the COVID and all this other stuff that was going on, the lockdowns and all of the racial tension going on at the time, or if it was the fact that I was also hearing simultaneously that they were trying to restrict those rights. They're going to try to use the lockdown to further restrict us and we'd have to go through even more hoops to get firearms. And I was like, man, I am not about to be caught out here with my pants down. That's just not about to happen. Period. So last gun show in Northern Virginia, like literally the last gun show in Northern Virginia. And guess who takes me to the gun show?
Who?
Shermichael.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
And so yeah, I bought a Glock 19X and a Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 2, and the rest is history.
That's the recipe.
Oh, man.
But it's funny because that now that I never thought about that before until you just brought it up, and you just made me reflect on something. That's how much Sherm wanted me to make my own decision in terms of my first firearm, because he could have easily pointed me in a very specific direction, right? But he let me go down that path myself. I remember like we got to the gun show and I was just like, I was all over the place because I knew last gun show, I got to walk out of here with a pistol and rifle. I got to walk out of here with something that I know that, you know, I can improve upon, first that I can afford, second that I can improve upon, so on and so forth. Right. And so he let me make those decisions myself. I did. And then that was it. We hadn't even gone to the range after that. It was just like, he knew that I needed to do it. So he helped facilitate the opportunity for me. After that, I want to say maybe about 3 months later, he's like, John, how's things going with your new guns, man? I said, man, I'm loving it, bro. I just got a red dot for my Glock. I just did this. I just did that. And he was like, this is so funny.
You shoot him?
You say what?
You shoot him yet?
Yeah, of course I shot him. But like, so then he's like, but you know what? I think you're ready for a real gun, John. And then he pulls out his staccato.
Oh,
and I was like,
dirty.
what? And it was one of those, it was like, it was one of those staccatos. It wasn't even staccato yet. It was an STI. It was an STI with the original tree bark grip. When I held that pistol in my hand, I was like, bro, why does it feel like this? why is it so heavy and sturdy? And then I racked the slide and I was like, get this out of my face. That must cost thousands of dollars. And he was like, oh yeah, this is a nice one, John. I was like, clearly. And yeah, man, after that I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't unknow the possibility of 2011s and, you know, and all these. I was literally just so happy with my Glock and my M&P. And so then went down a whole nother rabbit hole in terms of tiers of firearms, from pistols to rifles to shotguns and the unobtainiums all in between, right? For sure. So then my collection started to grow. Next time he saw me, knowing I had 2 firearms, I think the next time he saw me, I had 6, including a staccato C2. So it was like, yeah, the rabbit hole analogy.
It gets deep real. Fast. Yeah.
It gets, it's like that slide that you get on. And look, by the time you realize how fast that slide is going, you're already on the slide. It's like, you can't stop. You can't go back up. Nope. You just got to keep going. Just got to ride that joint.
That's me, man. That's me with all sorts of stuff. I mean, I see looking at your background, I see a couple rifles. I see a couple, you know, I see you're a sneakerhead. I look at all this stuff and I'm that way with shoes. I'm that way with guns. I'm that way with tools, anything. It's like, man, when I get into something, I think it's my brain, and it's definitely a curse, but I'm going to be in it. I'm like, that's what I'm doing right now. I can't turn that off.
I think that's a man trait, bro. Like, congratulations.
All right. I made it.
No, for real.
Another financially crippling addiction.
Yeah, no, it's funny how it's a gift and a curse, right? I think it speaks to the dedication that certain men have to being first as proficient as humanly possible at something, or as knowledgeable as humanly possible at something. And then there's the craving to compete. And whether it's you competing with yourself, you know, if you're competing with people that you don't even know them and they don't know you, but you see that they got more or they're doing it bigger or better. All right, I'm going for that next, right? It's that natural competitive spirit that, you know, real men have. It's something that you can't fake. It's something that we try to suppress as much as we possibly can because it doesn't always serve us. It's very true. It doesn't always serve us, right? But it's just something that's there. It's in our DNA. And, you know, I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I think that's, especially if you're open to learning too, right? Because once you stop learning, something's wrong. Something's wrong. It's a wrap, man. You're gonna start to feel that. You're gonna really start to feel that. And I think that's like something that marked a true turning point in my life when I was having conversations with people and I felt like I couldn't contribute to certain areas of a conversation. And the first time I noticed that, I was like, yeah, I got to do something about this. So then I went back to college. I got 2 degrees. You know, it's one of those things that you're like, all right, we gonna do this. We gonna do this, you know. And that's what men do. We decide, and then we do.
It's funny because I think that was my story in firearms. I mean, I grew up around them all my life, and I just never cared anything about anybody else's beliefs or what they wanted. It was, hey, these are my guns. These are my things. Like, as long as you don't care what I do, I don't care what you do. Let me live my life. And I realized, and it was an eye-opening experience last year when I couldn't even win arguments. And when I say arguments, I mean healthy, good, not mad at each other arguments in my own household, with people playing devil's advocate saying, well, I don't believe I should be able to own the same types of firearms you do because you have way more experience than me. And I could not win those arguments. And so the moment that happened, and I'm not trying to go political here, it was just that was my lights on moment for me, where it was like, dang, if I can't even give them certain facts or just give them, a little sentiment, a little piece of my mind, and improve their, I don't want to change your mind. I'm not here to change someone else's mind. I want free thinkers. I want you to make up your own mind. And if you're with the, I don't want to say if you're with me, if you have the same belief or you agree with my stance, great. If you don't, as long as we can respect each other, I have no issues with you and your beliefs. I can disagree and you can disagree, but it really turned it on for me, John, when it was like, dang, I can't even give examples. I need to become smarter. So I really feel what you say about going back to school on it. I didn't feel smart. I felt ignorant.
Mm-hmm. That's a tough one though, man, because that argument is, man,
it's unwinnable. It really is.
I won't even call it unwinnable. I would say it's unnecessary. And the reason why I say that argument is unnecessary is because I partially agree that I think that our country as a whole should take the responsibility of gun ownership a little more serious.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is there's nothing wrong with training. Training not only makes you much more proficient than you have ever been without it, period. Like there's no way you can tell me that you're going to be more proficient without training than you will be with training. And that's with anything, right? And so now we're talking about this life or death thing that we're putting in your hand. So I feel like if we really cared about responsible gun ownership, I feel like there should be some type of subsidized, across the board, nationwide, free training available for something like that. And I don't give a shit if it's online. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a shit if it's online, in person, a combination of both. But I feel like at a minimum, if you really cared about what people were doing about firearms and how they respected it and treated it, then I think that that's something you would do instead of just going straight to restrict. Okay,
they could put it back in school, but they won't do that.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, because I got brought up, hey, when you grew up hunting, didn't you have to take a hunter safety course before you first went in the woods? And I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, it should be no different for me. And I'm like, well, the difference is the hunter safety course is free. Mm-hmm. It's put on. Yeah. So because at that point in time, and I don't want to say the government, the entity that was controlling the hunting wanted safe people. I think now you're exactly right, because it isn't left versus right. It is government as a whole. Yeah. I believe truly in their hearts of hearts, they want everyone to be a safe gun owner, but they're never going to come out and say it because it plays against everyone's narrative and it takes that tool away. Mm-hmm. But also, I really feel that they don't want to give that free training out, because then when the story comes out that so-and-so did this bad and they learned that stuff from the free training, it's a bad look on them. And and I think it's honestly just because this isn't a political show, so I don't want to go down that road, but I think it's just because we're not addressing other issues that are in our world. Mm-hmm. And it all boils down to, I don't want to talk about left, right, what the definition of mentally sane is or not. I don't want to get into that. Evil has always existed in this world, and evil is going to continue to exist long after all four of us are gone off this planet. And the only way to combat evil, unfortunately, is at the end of the day, most of the time, you have to perform evil acts. It's just what it is. We wish we could go there and, stop them with hugs. It just, usually that doesn't work, man. It doesn't work.
I mean, at the end of the day, good men have to be dangerous. Like I'm a firm believer. I've said this to Mike and Matt before. I believe a man. I'm going to say a man. I'm a little sexist on that, but a man should be able to hold a baby at night, kiss the baby, but then during the next day, be able to take a life that's trying to hurt someone else and be a savage. And you have to know how to do both. You have to be a gentleman, a savage, and a loving, caring person as a man. And there's all those aspects to it. And some people don't like to hear that nowadays, but that's kind of how I am. That's my mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll take that even a step further and say that in this day and age, there's no reason why everybody on this earth can't be multifaceted. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about, Adam. You're talking about being a multifaceted human being. But in order to be a multifaceted human being on the level of which you just explained, you have to first be in control of your emotions.
Yes.
And happy with yourself where you are in this world. Because if you're not in control of your emotions and you're not happy about where you are and what you're doing in this world, then you are going to be driven by those emotions you can't control.
Yeah.
And you're already not happy.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fair. That's fair.
When you think about a happy person, if they're really happy, like you have to chip away at them to get them upset.
Yeah.
If you're walking around and your natural state is not happy, we're already there. We at goal.
It's like that one guy you take out with you to the clubs all the time. He always gets you in fights. No, you ain't coming out because you always get us in fights.
Facts. Bro, you got to stay at the barracks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Straight up.
You always get some fights, and I'm gonna back you up every time, but I'm tired of backing you up. Like,
yeah, man. Hey, ain't nobody got time for that, man. No. And not in this day and age.
No.
We are blessed to live in an era where almost anything we want to do is possible.
Yes.
I mean, and it's almost like it's to our detriment. It's almost as if not enough people is making good use of everything we have at our disposal right now. We have more at our disposal right now than we've ever had in human history, as far as we know. Because we could do some conspiracy stuff. We could go down that rabbit hole if you want, because I believe that I'm waiting to find out all the lies. I'm waiting for all the lies to come out. I'm waiting to find out stuff that like the moon ain't real.
Yes.
I'm waiting to find out all kinds of stuff. I'm waiting. I'm like sitting here. I'm like, I knew it. You know,
some ancient alien shit.
Ancient aliens, bro. All that. I'm so subscribed to that. Like, and let me tell you what's sad about it. Guess what's got me subscribed to that? Politics.
Yeah.
Politics. Politics.
Even ancient aliens makes more sense.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Well, John, we're gonna do a private call once a week now. I'm hooked, bro. We're doing a private. Yeah, this is great. I love it.
Well, yeah, because in reality, my last political thing, because I want to ask you about a happy thing for you, but before I jump into that, it's like, man, doesn't matter who it is, whether it was the current Republican guy running and the previous Democrat guy running, or the new Democrat lady running. Like, y'all mean to tell me, out of everybody in this world,
we got,
like these two people are the best.
And we're not gonna say names. We don't say names on here.
I'm not. I don't care who you pick. Yeah. I'm just saying, like those two for real. You can look me in the eye and say, we have scoured the country, and we tell you right now, these two.
American Idol does a better job of picking talent.
I'm telling you.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now.
Oh no.
The presidency would be the one thing that I could see a Hunger Games type situation working out. I nominate you as tribute. You know why? You smart motherfucker. I need you to come over here with some of that common sense and some of your intellect, and I need you to make the right decisions.
Well,
right?
our first president.
That's how it should be.
That's how our first president kind of got put in that spot, right?
Yeah, but I'm going to play devil's advocate there, and I'm going to go to something John just said. We have more tools and resources at our fingertips now than we ever had.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you had social media and cell phones 70 years ago, people that were president would not be president. People that were in office would not be, because they would have been ran out.
They would have been the silent majority.
Okay. All right.
Want to run. They're going to look in my closet. They're going to pick open everything I have, and there's going to be that one time that I did that one thing.
Right.
And everybody has the skeleton.
That one DM. That one DM. Yep.
And all of a sudden, like, you are ruined as a man or as a woman, and you're in your late 40s trying to run because you want to do something, and you're like, man, my whole day's like I'm done. Like, this is terrible. I'm never doing this again.
Too late to start over.
Right. Right.
So
Man.
let's talk about a happy point. I
Okay.
want to ask you, you got into the guns with the help of Michael. You started doing all that stuff, and you realized at some point the light bulb moment hit for you, where like you were doing some 2A advocacy, and either you didn't know it or you knew it, but you actually saw the person you were speaking with light bulb go off, and it was kind of like that. You got bit. That's what hooked you. That's what made you say, man, like, I liked how that felt for me. I liked that how that felt for them. And I want to keep riding this. Like, does anything stick out to you?
Oh, it is the moment. So the moment was, I want to say, about 6 months in to 2020. And that was by the time I think I had about 6 firearms. And because of the lockdown, we weren't able to go to indoor ranges. We were, looking for outdoor ranges wherever we could find them. And they're very hard to find here in Northern Virginia, period.
Yeah, you can't just.
Yeah. The DMV is not outdoor range friendly at all. You got to go far. So with that struggle, that new struggle that I never thought I would have in my life, can't find a range to go shoot at that I like. We became very resourceful. We find out, first I found myself trying to find places to go shoot. Then I found myself waiting in line at Gander Mountain on a Saturday morning to try to get my allocation of ammo because there was a shortage. And I was doing all these things and I wasn't thinking twice about it. It was like a new part of my routine. It was like, I can't wait for the weekend because I got to go shoot, but I got to go get the ammo first. So it was a whole schedule that I had to make for myself in order to do this thing.
Yep.
And first it was just me. Then it was my family. And then it became some friends. And the next thing you knew, people that also didn't have guns were buying guns in my circle of friends. And we had a colleague that had a big property out in faraway land. And we went there and we built our own 100-yard range. I mean, literally, we went to Home Depot one Friday, bought a bunch of stuff. Saturday morning, we were out there building a 100-yard range. And
love that.
And so after doing that for a while and more people started to want to join us. Like they was like, oh man, I heard y'all been doing this. I just bought me a gun. Let me come. Or I was thinking about buying a gun. What kind of guns you got? I want to try, whatever. So that was starting to happen. And it was my woman. My woman said, you really are influencing people's hearts and minds with what you're doing. And I was like, what? And she was like, you should film one of these Saturdays things that you do. And I'm like, why? I'm like why do I want to do that? I'm like, really, I'm enjoying. First off, I'm enjoying myself. Okay, you trying to mess up my fun.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't really want to do that. I want to really enjoy what I'm doing. So as selfless as she is, she decided to come out there with her cell phone one day and she filmed every little thing we did. She filmed everything, the ride up there, unloading the truck and just every little thing. And so then she airdropped me all the footage. And then I started looking through it and I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of interesting. Right. And then it started to dawn on me that, there was a lot of people that ended up on this journey with me that they weren't talking about it. They didn't bring me into this, so they came when they found out I was into it. So all of it kind of started to make sense. So then I took the footage and I did a little basic edit on my phone and it actually came out pretty good. And I realized how far I had come in such a short period of time in the community and how I was looking and thirsty and hungry for more. And I also realized that there wasn't a lot of faces like mine that were showing me the things that I wanted to learn. I found myself learning from people that didn't look like me.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not taken away from any, creator out there, no matter what their ethnicity is, but the things that I was specifically looking for. Right. Because obviously, remember, I said I didn't become a gun owner because I didn't have the type of the type of responsible gun owner influence that I would have liked. So I was very particular about the type of content I consumed, and it drove my interests of what I wanted to do in the firearms community, the type of gun owner that I wanted to be, right? And then even with bringing my friends into this, I was very careful and considerate to their stigmas. You know, I wasn't the type to like, oh, you never shot a gun before, here's this Smith & Wesson 500. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not about to do that to somebody, you know?
Horrible.
So with that being said, after she brought that to my attention, and after I couldn't deny it after seeing it myself, and then after I showed it to Shermichael, who is critical of everything, and he was like, bro, this is actually pretty good. You know, you're actually onto something. And so then he knew some people over at GOA, and he was like, you know, I'm sure they would be interested in something like this. And then, you know, kind of the rest was history after that. We decided to go to the range one day and film our first episode. It's called Saturday Shooter. When I look at that episode, aside from the intro, which I think is hilarious, I cringe.
We all do that. We
Yeah,
all do that.
that's everybody's first
dog.
episode.
Y'all don't cringe like I cringe, dog. Oh my God, I was that Amazon gun guy, and I didn't even know what I was doing.
We all do it though. Trust me. Our first episode, me and Michael, it was. I can't watch it. Like, no, I understand. But John, I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to say this.
I don't even want to say the episode. I want to say like the first time you ever try to do anything on YouTube, whether it's do gun content or teach people how to make cupcakes or how to tie your shoe. Like if you go back and watch it a couple of years later, you're like, what was I thinking?
Man.
Like,
but John, I will say this because these guys don't know this. I've actually watched your stuff from the beginning. I remember during COVID, right after that, and then GunsOut TV. I remember seeing GunsOut TV like really blow up. Warrior Post Society Network. You were yes, that's when I was subscribed to John Lovell, watching you guys on there, watching what you were doing, and I do commend you for that because, like you said, there's not a lot of people that look like me that do this, and I think it's not a racial thing. It's just, you know, people want to like see someone like themselves doing this. Oh, I can do this too, and I commend you for that. But I've been watching you for a long time. I've seen your growth, but I remember seeing you like with GunsOut TV, John Lovell, and like loving your content, man. I'll say this: you might have had some cringe stuff, but I think your learning curve was pretty quick because your content kind of really blew up quick, and I saw it from the beginning. And like watching other people do it, you've done it quite well, man. I just want to give you some flowers on that one. Kudos, because
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. And you know, it's a combination of things that help with that trajectory. And so for all the people that have previously asked me like what was the secret to that growth so fast, right? It's every time I'm asked that question, I don't necessarily know how to answer it, probably because I don't know the person that well to try to make them understand. But you know, I've spoken to you guys a few times, and you know, I've watched your podcast. I know you guys will understand what I'm about to explain, and that is, you know, it's a combination of obviously prior military experience, 12 whole years of that. I'm not a young dude, all right? Like I'm in my 40s, so if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. Like we're not about to just, you know, like I went from I didn't want to do this, I don't want to do this, to I see the value in this, so I'm gonna do it, right?
This is one of our early life ADD hobbies. Like this is for real now.
This is for real. This is for real. This is not for play. So that was one. Two, you know, I'm in the media space. I had been in the media space for about 4 years prior to starting GunsOut. I'm not camera shy whatsoever. I have a lot of different things that I've been a part of in my, you know, adult career that put me in front of a lot of people, speaking, doing various things. So it felt easy, but it also felt like a responsibility. It felt like a responsibility at that point. And when I realized the impact that we could potentially make, I was for it. It's like you can't. I feel like if you're a person that wants the best for yourself and others, and you know that you can meet a need, an absolute need, and you choose to not do it, it's just like, I don't know. I'm gonna need a good reason. I'm gonna need a good reason why you decided to not meet that need if it was a need that you knew was important. And that's how I felt about this. And then, you know, kudos to Shermichael. This dude was so, standing next to him in early episodes, man, I had to be a sponge. There was no, I mean, you think about Adam. You've seen this man on CNN. He's so poised, he's so articulate, and he knows his stuff. He's not gonna jump in front of there and just say some crazy stuff and pull something out of his behind. He knows his stuff.
He does.
So being next to him, I had no choice but to really take being in front of the camera seriously, or else like I'm about to look like a fool, right? And I obviously no man wants that either. So it was in my best interest to really put forth as much effort as I possibly could early on. And there were growing pains, right? There was effort being exerted in the very beginning. Man, I'm living my best life right now, bro.
I love it. I love it.
I'm living my best life right now because of the effort that I put in so early on in the very beginning. And I think that's a difference maker. I think that's a difference maker when somebody chooses to put forth that effort before they are forced to put forth that effort. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people are very reactionary. I was even mad at myself for being reactionary to buying a firearm and understanding the benefit and the right that I have of the Second Amendment. Like I was a little upset with myself. So that was another driver. It was like, bro, you were indifferent for so many years, and this could have all been taken away from you. You would have never even known what it felt like to be your own first responder at any given moment. Like that feeling alone changed everything about my perspective. And like I said, that's when for a little while I was kind of beating myself up. I was like, man, I should have did this a long time ago. But then you move on from that and you realize that, hey, I'm here now and I don't have to worry about that stuff back there. Now it's just forward, and this is what we're gonna do, and now this is what we do.
John,
I love that.
John, I love that. I love the fact because you talked about your grind, your hustle, and I know Mike, Matt, we all saw it, but I remember Matt, like GOA, we were all there at Goals event, and I remember pointing at John Keys, Shermichael right there, and Matt's just like, dude, every time I see these guys, they're hustling. Like we couldn't even talk to you until like the after party. Like we talked. I mean, I talked to the rooftop bar, but like you guys were working. Like no one was working like you guys there.
It's not work though. Like I look forward to trips like that. I look forward to doing that because I'm still shocked at how much more I have to learn about firearms culture, about Second Amendment law, about the firearms industry. Like there's just so much when you try to broad stroke it and you try to think like, oh, it's guns, right? But it's not. There's like innovations around every turn. There's a lot of redundancy, I will say that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's also those diamonds in the rough, those jewels, those budding roses, and you go around and you find those things. That's what our mission is. Our mission is to find the best of everything about the firearms community and industry, from the innovations to the people to the events to the experiences. And I think that's the other thing that really served us this entire time. That's our mission. Our mission is to humanize firearms culture. And what better way to do that than to highlight the best of everything about the community and the industry. So when you see us at places like Goals, SHOT Show, or wherever we are, when we go there, we're on that mission to go and find those vendors, find those people, find these creators, meet creators that we've never met before, all of those things. And so, it's fun, man. Like I said, I'm living my best life. It's one of the coolest jobs and coolest missions to have, if you ask me.
It's so fun.
I mean, well, you're prepared. And that's kind of what we looked at it. When we went to our first event together as a group, we kind of made I'll say a blueprint of what we were going to do on a napkin. Basically like, hey, here's what we're going to do. And we went out there and that napkin blew out the window before we ever, it was gone. And
I like that.
I mean, it was like,
no first plan.
We walked straight through the door and it was like, here's what we're going to do. And we all had a game plan and we went. I went straight, Adam went left, Matt went right, and we saw each other midway through. And it was like, where y'all been? And so it was crazy. But this time we actually were like, all right, we learned from our first mistake.
Mm-hmm.
We want to enjoy this show. So let's go out. Let's make a target list of everybody we want to speak with. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the vendors that are going to be there. Let's look at the creators that said they're going to be there. Who do we want to find and get in front of, even if it's just for 10 seconds to say, love what you do. Let's make it. Let's execute that as fast as we can, but as genuinely as we can.
Yeah.
And then, because everybody else is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And then let's enjoy the time there and actually take it for what it's worth and actually say, we weren't just there for work. We actually wanted to be a part of this. So we got to sit in on some of the seminars like the one you were in. We sat on a few other ones just because that would have been a really, I know you were working it, but it would have been a really terrible thing for us, in my eyes, for us three to go there and not sit in on one workshop, because that's one of the big differences that GOA is doing compared to these other guys. Even if it wasn't for you and you said, yeah, well, I didn't really enjoy that. Who cares? It's the experience. You need to go sit down and actually respect it for what it is. And we actually got a lot out of it.
Oh yeah.
It opened my eyes again. It was like, dang, right when you think you're on the path and you're doing something, all right, I'm making a difference and I think I'm doing enough. And you sit back and you're like, man, I'm nowhere close to doing enough.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that?
Yeah. No, it's very true. It's very true. And again, you uncover things like that when you go and you actually partake, right? When you go and you actually participate and you utilize the program that's been set. Because the reason why people set programs is because they know their intent and they know how it's supposed to, they know what the end result is supposed to be. The end result that they intend, right? So by you going in and you sitting in on a seminar, a workshop, a speech or whatever, and then also going out on the floor and, interacting with vendors and also going to, these different after party spots and interacting with the content creators, like that's how you really get to know who's who in the zoo. That's so important, man. That is so important.
It's huge. It's so huge, John. That's how we connected. I mean, that's how like you were busy, but you meant that like, at the after hour parties, like connecting people because you're busy all day. Like that's how you and I mean, I got to have a 10-minute conversation with you and we got to like talk about. We talked about things that weren't just gun related. Just you asked me about me. Like the first thing I'll say this about you, and this is one I commend you on. You wanted to know about me. You didn't care about whiskey and windage. You didn't care about where are you from, what's your background. Let me know about Adam. And I was like, dude, that's like this human side of the things we don't do because we're all on the floor all day. We're all connecting 2A. That's great. GOA, gun rights is great. But like, you're just a real human. I can appreciate that about you, man.
Bro, I think we could all like do a pressure check on ourselves.
Be better
at how much genuine human interaction we have. Right. And granted, there's a time and a place for everything, right?
Yes.
If I was meeting you and this was a business introduction, then our entire conversation may have been different on the spot.
Right.
However, we would have gotten to that human part.
Yeah.
Because that human part is important. That's how you really can tell whether or not this is a person that you're okay with associating yourself and your brand with.
Yes.
Sure.
Because I mean, you can be the most polished somebody in the world and then do the most crazy debauchery behind closed doors that aren't really closed doors that's going to be out at some point, and then they're going to be like, oh, that's your man's over there, ain't it?
Yeah, we hear about that and it's like, hey, that's their business. But like, man,
bro, it's like, and we don't have a lot of room for error, unfortunately. That's the thing that I really just don't feel like enough people in the Second Amendment community understand is that if our intent is to grow the community to its full potential, we don't have a lot of room for error in terms of our outreach capabilities and the way that we do that said outreach. We don't have a lot of room for error. We need to be consistent. And that's the one thing that I will say, no matter how you slice it, no matter what your agenda is, just be consistent. Because if you're consistent, your tribe is going to find you. Yeah. And people that aren't a part of your tribe is going to stay away from you.
Yes.
And that's just what it is. And that's cool. That's cool. Everybody has a tribe. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has their contribution to the community. So I think consistency is the one thing that allows fairness across the board, because now you don't have to be anything that you're not in real life, and we don't have to worry about you being something you're not in real life, right?
That's facts. I segue that to say it means a lot to hear about the human element, because I don't, even if someone is, like you said, this polished gun rights advocate, like, oh man, this is the face of the 2A. This is who we have. This is the best guy we got or the best girl we got. But if they're a terrible person, that's a hard pill for me to swallow to still back that. And again, I'm not throwing stones, but it's kind of what turns people off, to be honest, about the NRA. NRA, man, on paper and in principle, that is an amazing community, an amazing entity that should be supported, because who shouldn't support someone like that? But then when you hear all the wrongdoings and all of the misappropriations and all that, it turns you off. But I don't want to pick on them. It could be something at the local restaurant, or it could be big government. It happens all over the place. And so it's so frustrating when that happens, but it is refreshing to hear that, you know, the human element still does matter. And I think that's the entrepreneur in you, because how you found your niche in the world after YouTube already started regulating, you know, and all of the big famous content creators been doing this 10 years, the Garand Thumbs, the Hickox, all these people. So you did what an entrepreneur does. Before you define your product, you pretty much defined your audience. And that is the sign of a true entrepreneur. It doesn't matter what you make, who you're making it for. Figure that out, and then reverse engineer everything. And I love it. I think we need more people from different cultures, different creeds, different religions, races, all of it, because at the end of the day, this is the 2A is for everybody. The one,
human rights,
all of everything. It's human rights for everyone. But if you can't relate to me, then find someone you can relate to, because I personally, and I say this on multiple podcasts, I'm tired of looking at 65-year-old white-headed white guys. Like, that gets old to me. I want to see people like yourself. I want to see people like the antics of the Tactical Turkeys. I want to see, you know, I want to see females. I want to see males. I want to see it all, because we are a big melting pot in this community, and we all deserve to have our voices heard and have something for people like us.
No, I mean, I love that. I mean, John, on the diversity podcast, or the podcast, the diversity forum that you guys were on. I mean, I remember a friend that we made, Tracy Guns. She was talking about, like, hey, I'm a blue-haired female that's Asian. Most people are going to assume that I am this, and this, but no, I go out there and I shoot. She competes with AKs. You know, she's out there running, gunning, and doing her thing. But she's like, the assumption is because I have a certain color hair, this and that. I love that. I love the diversity. I love the fact that we are getting more people in the 2A. And I love your message, man. I love what you guys are doing. I love all that. But I want to flip the script right now, because I can't forget about this, John. You talked right before we started recording. You had a question for us. I don't want to forget. So you said you had something for us. What was this question you had about us three?
Oh shit, man! I already told you I got a memory like a goldfish, man.
Be a goldfish.
I set that up, and he's like listening.
Yeah, man, you were supposed to tee that up way better than that, bro.
Oh no!
Wait a minute. What was the topic? What were we talking about? Because
you talked about diversity, about how, you know, Massive Collector, Mike's an SOT.
He was going to mention the different reasons that different people might acquire firearms.
There we go. Yeah, man. So okay, all right, there we go. So literally, just looking at your different backdrops, you can make different assumptions and the same assumption all at the same time. Okay. But you can also make very different assumptions, right? And I think that it's very important that people realize and recognize that just because you're supporting the Second Amendment, just because you're a 2A content creator or a gun tuber or whatever definition that other people place on people like us, because truth be told, I'm like the worst influencer on the face of the earth. Okay. And that's because being an influencer is only a byproduct of the mission that we're doing, which is to highlight everything and everyone else that's positive about the Second Amendment community, while also entertaining and educating and doing all these other things, right? So we automatically fall into that category. You guys, right? I could see just from talking to you and then now seeing your different backdrops and seeing how you interact on this podcast, that you guys are all in this probably from your paths were not like, y'all were not in a straight line and then all of a sudden that straight line just came together. Y'all probably came from all these different directions, right? So with that being said, I wanted to ask each of you, like, what was the reason you guys decided to come together? Because you're a trio, okay? 3 guys decided to come together and start a podcast. What was the reason you needed 3 guys to come together and start the podcast?
So it started on this website called Grindr. No, I'm just
Listen, it sounded sketchy as soon as you said it. Even though I don't know what Grindr is.
Okay, good. Well, don't look it up.
Don't look it up.
No, you don't want that in your search history.
But I'll tell you what, I'm going to let Mike take this one because Mike is the founder of Whiskey and Windage. That's fair. I think Matt will agree. Mike is the founder of Whiskey and Windage. Yeah. So, Mike, why don't you kind of start that one out?
Man, so honestly, I just have a vision and it's not done and I'm not done yet. And it's not going to be done by my hands alone. It's going to take these 2 guys. It's going to take more people. Who knows? Maybe it takes you guys. Maybe it takes you and Shermichael. I have the why can't I syndrome. I look at people and see what they accomplish. And I don't get jealous. I don't loathe or wish for their, I wish I was that guy or I wish I had that money. It's a, why can't I do that? Or what do I need to do that? And it honestly started one day when I said, I was listening, I'm a big podcast guy. And I've got some friends that do a local podcast in Nashville, worked for one of them, and they're 2 ex-NFL football players, and they do a podcast, and they got picked up by Barstool Sports. And so I started looking and started realizing with Dave Portnoy, like this guy has a couple hockey guys doing a hockey podcast, a couple football guys doing that. There is a podcast for everyone. There is media for everyone. And I was like, why can't a couple people all put our heads together and become the Barstool Sports of 2A? And I want something for the AR guys. I want something for the military guys. I want something for, I want something for the goon weirdo AK guys like Matt.
You already knew his place. That's why he made that face.
But it's honestly because I wanted to document a journey of, I grew up with a father who was law enforcement my entire childhood. He retired once I got out of school. And I grew up around firearms. They were locked, but not locked like they're supposed to be. But I mean, I could touch anything I wanted pretty much at any time. And I learned firearm safety, firearm responsibility from a young age. I just knew you don't touch them unless you're ready to use them.
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, I want to talk and take a couple people from different backgrounds and just kind of put this hodgepodge together as our journey on, hey, we are nobodies and we dub ourselves as like, certified YouTube D-listers. Like we
D-listers for life. Yeah.
We own it. We want a T-shirt about it. We don't care.
That's so awesome. That's good.
Certified D-listers, like, let's own it because
let's go.
Because I want to be able to say, like, hey, 3 quote unquote nobodies, just like, and I don't mean we're nobodies, but just like any of our listeners, 3 normal dudes got together, put a show together, and we're talking to people like John Keys, Nate at Staccato, talking to the CEO of Silencer Shop, talking to G08. Like, we want to humanize just like you're humanizing. And our goal is to make people feel like we're all just sitting around a campfire, having a drink, having a cigar, and just cutting up. And I don't want to sway you. I don't want to tell you to buy this over that. You make your own decision. But I don't know, man. It's such a fun community, and firearms are so fun, and it's a heavy responsibility. But I don't know. I think that people should enjoy this freedom that we have. I don't know. That's my answer.
Hey, man, I love it, bro. I love it. Honestly, Mike, if you don't know, you're actually projecting a little bit. Okay. And what I mean by projecting is that you want for others what you want for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing at all, bro.
No.
Like, that is a great thing, because you want something good for yourself. So you inherently want that same good for other people. And I think that's going to be a great thing. So then you went and you put together your team. Now you got team, because you know what? I'm not going to sit here in front. It's so much more fun doing it with somebody. It's so much more fun when you could do it with somebody. And God forbid if that somebody is like a friend of yours or family that you really get along with, somebody that you really connect with. Man, there's just nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
We did our first podcast. We started playing around with this in October of last year. So I'm glad to actually tell you this is the first time we've said it on the show. So
you are.
Here we go.
Here comes breaking news. This episode is episode 52. This is
you are officially the 1 year. We didn't want to tell you, John, but you are the 1 year
on our podcast.
Wow! So this is like the anniversary episode.
This is
when it comes out
2 straight weeks, and as you know, when we first started wanting to make a podcast, a friend of ours that does it said, "Hey, if you want to be in the top 20% of podcasters, just do 20 straight episodes, release one every week, and you'll be top 20%."
Wow!
I was like, okay, cool. So we did 20, and we're like, cool, we're top 20 in podcasts. But honestly, the grind, man, whether it's YouTube content or whatever, putting something out there every week, come hell or high water.
Never missed.
Is a grind, and we have not missed a day. We have not missed actually, we haven't missed a release day. We haven't said, "Oh, hey, we drop on Wednesdays and this one's on Thursday."
We don't miss reels. We don't miss our Instagram reels. Instagram hits a certain time. The podcast drops. It's clockwork.
Man, good on y'all for that, bro.
Well,
because the struggle is freaking real.
It is.
Trust me. Hey, we got to do this. Hey, there's the brotherly love there, but
it's not all sunshine and rainbows for sure.
I believe it. Oh, I know it. Me and Shermichael, we've had our moments too, man. And I think it's interesting because I think our first year we were the same way. I think in our first year we didn't miss a single week of episodes, period. And that's pretty damn challenging, the way that we shoot and film content, bro. I'm just here to tell you, like our stuff is not like, I wish it was as easy as a podcast, to be honest. And I say that only in direct comparison. I don't say any and every podcast is easy, because to do a good podcast, that you got to put some effort. You got to be organized, like I've already committed you guys for, and all of that. But when you're trying to shoot the type of content that we shoot, which is first and foremost, okay, let's just make this perfectly clear. When we first came out, we were on television. We were on broadcast television in the DC market for 3 whole weeks. Guns Out, episode 1, 2, and then 3. Guess what episode 3 was?
What?
The AR-15.
Oh no!
Nice.
We got canceled.
Yeah.
We got canceled.
Shouldn't have, but I get why.
So then it's like, all right, and then but that was the best thing that could ever happen. I'm not even gonna sit here in front. That was the best thing that could happen. Thank you for canceling us from broadcast television. Because then the Second Amendment community reached out. They literally reached out. The very first thing that we saw, we were in Texas filming. We were in Texas. We had just done our Staccato tour. We were filming with US Law Shield the next day, and then we were filming with somebody else the next day after that. We were in Texas for like a whole week. And I remember we were going to some event in the evening, and we were all in this what van? Some Chrysler van or whatever, this huge van. I think it's one of the best vans I've ever rode in, actually. But we were in this van, and then all of a sudden I heard Guns Out TV gets canceled from. I'm like, what? I was like, where is that coming from? What is that? And then and Shermichael's watching a Tampa Carey episode. So Tampa Carey says cancel culture has finally hit the 2A community, and bam, we were off to the races. Then it was like, people were reaching out, wanting to do interviews. Jared from Guns and Gadgets, who's been one of our biggest supporters since we started, did a great interview, and he literally skyrocketed our subscriptions. Like the moment we did his interview, there was so many people from that one episode we did with him that came and said, Jared sent me here. Jared told me to check you guys out, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, when we realized the loyalty and the power within the community like that, it was like, oh man, we're doing the right thing. This is the right place. And these are the right people. Right. Yeah. Then Warrior Poet Society reached out and said, hey, we heard about you guys. Can we get a phone call to talk about the story? And we did a series of calls with the production team to let them know what happened. It was like, wow, that would be a great first season for you guys. Then we had a call with John Lovell, and I completely lost all bearing whatsoever. I made it weird for John, and I shouldn't have done that. John Lovell, I'm so sorry.
Adam did that.
I have a story too. Finish your story. I have a story too. John
Lovell has a way of making people make it weird.
I got his gun right there. I have his gun.
You got the War Poet? Oh, yeah, right. Oh Lord, I can only imagine how you made it weird for. See, I didn't have the gun. At least I put it to you like this. I just thought John was a very interesting human being in general. And then some of the things he did and said, I was just like, this dude here he's the dude. He's the real deal, right? Like this dude, and then there was this one episode where he was like looking at the camera or whatever and just looking all casual, and then the shot timer goes off and he turns around and shoots 5 rounds out of an AR fast. He turned around. The gun was hanging around his neck, and he turned around and I was like, and then he went showed the target, and it was like 3 to the body, 2 to the head. And I was like, who is this human being? And then I find myself on a FaceTime call with him talking about, our unfortunate cancel from broadcast television and what could we bring to the Warrior Poet Society Network. And I was just like, I wasn't ready for that conversation. And it showed the way I handled it, unfortunately. And it's in the episode. That's the crazy thing. If you watch that episode on Warrior Poet Society Network, you will see how I totally just shit the bed.
Well, I'll tell you. So GOA, we went to everyone, talked to everyone. I saw John finally walking in the hallway.
Well, hold on. Let me set this scene.
Okay. It's like the Eminem song. You got one shot. You got one shot.
Yeah. So we're sitting down at my house in Nashville the day before we leave, and we're talking about all of our targets, and it's who's number one in everybody's book. Everybody has their goat. Everybody's like, who do we want? And this man gives us a 5-minute rah-rah. We're going to get John Lovell on the show because I love him.
I didn't say I love him. I respect him.
You said everything but that.
Yeah, pretty close. And he was like, so I'm going to do this. So we searched high and low for John Lovell, and we couldn't find him anywhere. So we're like, hey, let's just go in here and sit down. And we were actually going to the diversity panel to listen to you guys talk.
Okay.
And as we're on that upper floor, you're walking down the corridor and you take a left, and then there's the entrance in. As we're walking, he comes around that corner and we almost run into each other. And I just thought in my head, please, Adam, just say, hey, John, love to sit down and talk to you at some point. You look busy, because this man was moving. He was
walking.
And I was like, please, Jesus, just say, hey, I'd love to talk to you. You look busy. Let's just chat sometime soon. And I hear, hey, John, you got 30 seconds? And I hear him say, go.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Lord. So there's the scene.
And I was just like, John, first of all, I love what you do, man. I carry your gun, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, blah, this.
Have your gun.
We
sign it.
No. I have the gun. Adam tell it. Let Adam tell it. Come on, Adam. Come on.
I was like, John.
Be real. Oh, take us back.
John, big fan of what you do, man. I actually carry the War Poet gun. I have it in my bag right now. I won't show you, whatever. But I'm like, hey, we have a podcast. We would love to have you on. We love what you do. We are an apolitical podcast. He's like, Stop right there. He is Jedi mind tricks. Stop. I'm like, yes, sir. And then I'm like, he's like, how can you talk about guns if you're not political.
Oh,
I'm like, John, God damn it, you're testing me. I got fucking 15 seconds left. So then I'm like, well, John, we're not political, but you can talk about what you want, but we'd love to have you on. I know you have your own podcast, but big fan. We love what you do, man. And then I had a brochure. We have our little brochure here. Like, hey, John, take the brochure, look at our stats, blah, 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 blah. He takes it. Okay. Nice to meet you. And walks away. I'm like, damn, did I just screw this up?
We're walking away, and I look at Matt and said, that piece of paper went in the trash as soon as he walked through the green room. As soon as he opened up the guest entry,
I didn't know what
that
to
thing
do.
is laying in the trash. And I get it because
I'm
he was
standing
in
there like
no
a
mood to hear that.
6.5 foot tall ogre looking like a
Don't lie. Matt was sitting there like, who is that again?
man, look, okay, look. First off, Adam, listen, man. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
But you missed some of the shots you take too.
But Mike, I blame you. All right.
Yeah.
I blame you, Mike, because you're the leader here. Adam already said you're the leader, bro. You should have taken the lead on that. But Adam, you did your thing, and I'm not mad at you because listen, let me tell you, John Lovell, man, this dude is intense and he's deep and he's thoughtful about everything. Just an amazing human being. And he, if you're not on that, if you're not like right there with him in that moment too, right? And it's like in that moment. So like you invited that shit, Adam. I had 30 seconds. Look, you invited that. John, you got 30 seconds? Oh, you put the pressure on yourself.
Yep.
You gave John a reason to pay attention to every word that was coming out of your mouth.
Yes.
And that's why he stopped you, because John will listen. If you tell him to listen, if you say, John, I got something to tell you, the man will respect that and he will listen to what you're saying. But boy, you better have your shit together.
No, it was great.
You better know what you're about to say.
So, see, I'll take the blame, but when he said, you got 30 seconds, I couldn't spin around and say, no, my man. He's walking, leave him alone.
Look,
we'll chat soon. Sorry,
what's
John.
crazy?
I'm so weak right now, like for real.
And I talked to some of the people I've talked to. I have respect in the industry.
Totally caught you off guard, though.
Not a problem with John. He got me, and I just froze. But I'm like, I'm still gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm not.
Now
you can't help yourself, Adam. Adam can't be a part of anything you do with John Lovell. I'm just telling you that right now. Adam, you need to spectate on this one, bro.
And it seems we have lost Adam's feed, John. I don't know what went wrong, but no.
Oh my gosh. It's one of those things where you really just got to know who you're talking to and understand like how to interact. And I still struggle with it. You know, John, when me and John see each other, we love each other, man. We greet each other, we converse, but there's still this thing. I still remember that first conversation I had with John, and I think I'm over it. I saw him at Goals, and it was so funny because I busted into his green room on accident. I was trying to find our green room for the thing that we were getting ready to do. And I mean, I walked into that joint like I knew it was ours. And there's John with his laptop, his Bible, and his Warport pistol. No lie. Okay. And it was just kind of like one of those things like, I knew you was in here.
Hey, buddy.
He takes it seriously.
I didn't really know he was in there.
We stormed a green room. While we were there.
We did accidentally.
We got yelled at.
Actually, John's wife.
But did you storm the green room from the back?
No.
Yes.
No,
the back door.
No.
So the same hallway that we shot at, we shot our shot at John Lovell at. We were trying to find the panels, and we didn't know that the signs walk all the way around.
Yeah, it wasn't very clear. Yeah,
I know it's going to be in one of these doors right here, and one of these doors pops open, and I look in, and it's Clint Morgan, and I'm like, oh shit, there's Clint. We're in the right spot. Let's go. All three of us walk in there, and this lady with her headphone on and her walkie-talkie looks at me and is like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be in here. And the only thing I knew to say was, yeah, I'm here to see Clint, and I'm just going to say something to him real quick, and I'll be gone. And immediately I knew I wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
She was like, make it quick. And I
Oh.
start walking towards him, and I don't even get to talk to him. Thank God. Eric Pratt says, "Hey, I know you guys. Come over here. I want a picture."
Oh man.
Yeah.
We literally were
That was
like,
that was the photo we used for the thumbnail for the
Eric
GOA.
Pratt bailed us out.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm looking around, and it's
Eric.
like, I'm
Right.
looking around, it's like we the females in there, Clint's in there, Eric's in. Like, there are so many different people in this room, and I know that, like, hey,
We're not supposed to be here.
3 of these things are not like the others. And it's us 3. We need to be out.
That's dope, man.
And he stopped, and like the lady immediately was like, "Oh, well, I guess you guys."
Eric knows them. They're cool.
Yes, you guys are supposed to be there. Cool. Walked off, and we looked at Eric. And we were like, "I don't think we're supposed to be here." He was like, well, "Let's get this picture real quick, then you can get out of here." I was like, "Cool."
Yeah.
It was so
man.
weird, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would be. This is going to be our 52nd episode, so I do want to give you your platform. I don't want to run super long, but I do want you deserve this. This is going to drop in probably 2 weeks, maybe 3, so it's still going to be in September. So you've got an event coming up that we probably need to talk about as far as somewhere around Halloween, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Right.
So we're coming up on year 2 of the Purge, and you actually run stages, but these stages are non-conventional stages. These are Halloween themed stages, but you still get points. You still have like kind of like a leaderboard thing going on, and then there's still prizes that's going to be awarded at the end, and all of those things. I think the thing that really interests people the most about the Purge is the fact that they get to immerse themselves in an environment that everybody knows what the Purge is. Everybody knows that movie. Everybody knows that whole fictitious model of if a purge could ever happen. And to just kind of like feel that for just a minute, it just takes you away. It takes you to somewhere else. And you don't have to think about anything that's going on today or yesterday or tomorrow for that matter. You're kind of immersed in like a fictional environment for a minute, but you're also having fun with firearms.
Yeah.
And this year, the Purge is going to be absolutely amazing, man. We partner with Ballistic Dummy Lab, so we have like zombie ballistic dummies that we're going to be shooting and blowing up. Yeah, I see it. I see the patch back there. And Firebird targets, so we're going to have explosions, Crate Tactical. We're going to have a bunch of zombie infected USPSA targets, challenge targets. We got all this reactive steel. So it's a feast for the senses for anybody that loves firearms. And we're trying to create an environment where people can feel good to come and spectate these things. So for us, this is an important event. This was the first event we ever threw at our range, and it's so successful that we decided to make it a part of our range day. And range day 24 was crazy. 25 is going to be even crazier. And so this is the second iteration of the Purge. So everything we did right the first time, we're doing even better in this Purge. And there's only 8 as of today. There's only 8 slots left. So if you didn't get your ticket yet, early bird ticket cost stops on September 15th, and then it goes up to regular pricing until the week of the Purge. We will close ticket entries on the Wednesday of the Purge. The Purge happens on Saturday, October 26th. We will stop tickets being sold on that Wednesday. So make sure that if you're trying to attend, make sure you do that. But the other thing that has changed about this year is we do have spectator tickets available. So you can buy a spectator ticket and just come and hang out and watch and learn. Maybe see if you want to participate next year. But we encourage everybody to come.
So tell everybody where they can find John Keys before we close out.
Hey, man, listen, you can find John Keys wherever GunsOut is, and you can find GunsOut at GunsOut TV across all social media. We made it easy. We like to keep it easy for you guys at GunsOut TV. All together, no spaces, every social media platform, including YouTube. And GunsOutTV.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You will never miss anything important we have to say or that we're doing for and with the community and the industry. Period.
Yeah.
Awesome, John. We appreciate your time, man. You're welcome back to the show anytime. We will meet up soon. We'll meet up. We'll definitely SHOT Show. We'll meet up, but hopefully, after that, Prairie Fire, some other cool shooting events.
For sure. We got to link up at Prairie Fire. Don't worry. We like I said, we working on some really cool stuff, man, and we're happy to bring you guys on to be a part of that, man. Like, we
Awesome.
think that what you're doing for the community is great, and you represent something really good, man. So we're looking forward to working with you guys in the future.
Awesome,
yeah,
man.
anything that we can do to help you guys, whether it's just a like, a share, come on the show for a 5-minute plug, whatever it is, anything that helps.
We appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You let us know, or just shoot one of us a message and say, hey, could you guys drop this out? Happy to do that. That's what we're here for.
Appreciate it, man. Much appreciated. Thank you. And likewise.
Later, brother.
Let's go.
All right, guys, we want to say thank you once again to John Keys. This guy has been in our corner, been in our ear, and been a supporter of what we've tried to do for the longest time. All the way back to, I think it was our 3rd or 4th episode, all the way back to the 2A boys.
Yeah.
The 2A boys spoke super highly of this guy. We reached out, we kind of spoke with him, nothing but love, and having the pleasure of meeting him at GOA reaffirmed, I guess, all of our thoughts about this. Yeah. I'm not real sure. Matt, what's your thoughts?
Honestly, I was pretty excited to sit down and pick his brain a bit. Freaking nice dude. Like, it's one thing to see someone's content, and it's another thing to sit down and like actually get to exchange words and build a dialogue. So I had a great time.
Adam, what's your thoughts?
I'll say this with John. I'll talk on a personal level because him and I had a really in-depth conversation that was beyond 2A. It was just me, him, and I, man to man, talking about each other, our upbringings, our military background. And that to me was like one of those conversations we had at goals that I'll never forget. There's a few of them, but the one-on-one conversation with John was one of those I'll never forget. So just good dude, just overall good guy.
Hey.
Yeah, man. And we do want to thank everybody, even though this is the end of the show. We do want to thank everybody who has stuck with us or been on this train since the beginning.
Ooh, 1 year.
Or jumped on during one of the stops. We've made it 52 episodes, 1 year of releasing an episode every week. Sounds easy in theory, should be easy in theory, but it never is. So thank everybody who has supported us. Thank everybody who's told us that we suck and we should improve. We've took that to heart.
Oh yeah.
And we're very glad to have John Keys, who was one of the guests we wanted on super early before, episode 10 or less. We wanted him on and we never could get it wrangled in, and it happenstance. It was perfect. So I got nothing else to say. Matt, you got anything?
I think that about does it, boys. Yeah. Cheers to a year. Here's to at least a couple more, boys.
Adam, if you don't have anything else, brother, run it.
Well, I do actually today, and I'll say this: I am proud to call both of you, not just my friends, but my brothers, my partners, my everything. I appreciate both of you. Kudos to both all the hard work, the long nights of editing, the getting on each other's backs for making each other better. So I appreciate both you guys. And guys, like I always say, stay dangerous, carry a weapon.
You've never been on my back.
Oh yes, I have.
No, you have not. No, you
haven't. Digresses right here at the end.
No, you have
not. Adam, let's get the hell out of here.
And I am not your partner ever. Don't ever call me your partner.
Wow.
Your damn business associate.
Wow. Dang. All right. Well, Mr. Mike, I'm proud to call you my business associate.
I can't quit you.
Guys, I'm proud of both of you, and honestly, just happy to be here. So,
cheers,
I would say, stay dangerous, carry a weapon. We'll talk to you soon.